quickly. I liked how you went into the recourse and non-recourse. What does that mean? And what's the difference?
Yeah. So recourse, non-recourse, that's another big one.
Super.
So there's a little bit of misconception. So a lot of carriers that we talk to, if they're like, hey, I talked with this factoring company, they said if a broker shipper just doesn't pay the bill, then they're just gonna take it on the chin. That's, they just deal with it. And the bad part about it is that my job at that point, right? I take it personally. My job at that point is to say, I'm sorry, but that's not exactly how it works. Right? Not a popular answer, which I get, but if someone's just trying to get a sale and like just telling you whatever it is that you want to hear, of course it sounds really good, right? Who wants to have to deal with the bill after the fact? Nobody. But non-recourse is a factoring company saying, hey, if we validate something, we credit check it, and we say they're good to go, then if something happens to that business that they have to file for bankruptcy and we drop the ball on it, we're going to take the hit for it. So under non-recourse, you are covered if that company files for bankruptcy, but we approved it, right? That's us holding ourselves accountable. Where it gets misconstrued is where the carriers say, well, they're just going to, eat the cost regardless, but that's not the case, right? What'll happen is if a broker or shipper doesn't make payment, it'll typically come back to the carrier, right? What we charge for is to expedite funds and payment to a carrier to bill out their paperwork. But outside of that, that's what we collect our fee for. So, if we're losing, let's say I'm $1,000, we charge a 3%, and it's $30 that we're making. The expectation from a carrier is that, okay, well, you're going to lose $970 if they just decide not to pay, right? As a financial company, we'd probably be the worst financial company in the world if that's how we ran it, right? It'd be like, yeah, well, if they don't pay, then, whatever, we'll just,
no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. I guess we'll just take it out the checks, right? But again, that's always the bad side. I hate being the bad guy in that situation because then I have to go around and like burst bubbles, right? But it's important, that in itself is something that I get a lot, and it's kind of sad just because, again, we want to do our best to make sure that we're taking care of the carriers, but you're not taking care of them by leaving out important details like that, because we hear stories of carriers leaving somebody else because they're like, well, they weren't supposed to charge me back, but they did. And now, they're saying I owe X amount of dollars. And so it just comes from a lack of information. And again, I think with porter billing and how we're encouraged to talk with carriers and really inform them, it just empowers us to help them have the information that they need. So for me, that's like the porter billing difference.